freezing outside, a little bit high on the feeling. Can't seem to focus. In the corner of my best friend's sofa, you were getting buzzed on rum and cola. Wasn't brave enough yet just to talk to you. Not a smooth talker.
Yemen, one of the poorest Arab countries in which there are no product produced for exports. The economy rests largely on oil exports, remittance from abroad, foreign aid, which fuel a consumer market and the informal sector. A complex and intense civil war since 2014 has created a humanitarian crisis and economic problems, unemployment and shortages of food, water and medical resources. Yemen has mixed economic systems in which there is a limited private freedom, but the economy remains highly controlled by the government. On the other hand, Qatar is one of the richest countries in the world. Petroleum and natural gas are the cornerstones of the economy. Qatar's economic prosperity is derived from the extraction and export of petroleum, which was discovered in 1939 and first produced in 1949. Before World War II, Qatar's population engaged in pearling, fishing and some trade, which is with little exception and the only occupations available, and was one of the poorest in the world.
Government revenue is money that the government receives from tax and non-tax sources to use it for government expenditure. Tax income is payment on income and wealth accumulations of individuals and goods and services. Revenue from federal territory is the lowest gain that contain production from wine, cigarette and gasoline. One of the countries that richer it is Yemen. Yemen government really put on a big hope for their oil revenue. Oil revenue are the main contributor to the state public budget, but this cannot continue growing because the government share for this production is declining by 6.5% during 2001 until 2014. In 2015, they have to take a risk for the decrease in oil production because of political conflict and war. Not only that, Yemen also is the country with the lowest tax revenue compared to an average of 17.7% in developing countries with similar size economy. The tax revenue in 2015 as a result of lack for security and non-developing economy activities. One of the richest countries with their petroleum and natural gas among the world is Qatar. Generally, Qatar is the top 10 in list for the richest country based on their GDP per capita. The superb performance by oil and gas revenue consists of more than 60% of GDP and 85% of export earning. Qatar got the title for third largest natural gas reserve in the world and second largest exporting gas. Oil and gas revenue also rise rapidly because of the export to other countries like Japan, South Korea, China and many more. The corporate income tax is charged only for non-Qatari. It shows that tax from oil and gas activities represent almost 19% of total tax revenue, while tax revenue only contribute 5% of Qatar GDP in 2015.
Next, we move to the national debt. National debt is the public and intergovernmental debt which is owed by the federal government. National debt is also called sovereign debt, country debt, or government debt. It consists of two types of debt. The first is debt owned by the public. The buyers are from the country's citizen, international investor, and foreign government. Intra-government debt is the second category. The federal government owes this to other government departments, where it often funds government and citizen pension.
For example, the public debt trend in Yemen. The public debt of Yemen is 47.1% of GDP, with a global rank of 73. The public debt of Yemen is similar to Philippines, Czech Republic, Vietnam, Poland, Burundi, Denmark and Thailand. In addition, Yemen had average public debt of 36.6% in the last 10 years from 2003 to 2013. And not to forget that Yemen's public debt had a positive growth of 21.2% during the Great Recession. In contrast with Qatar, the public debt of Qatar is 30.6% with a global rank of 119. The public debt of Qatar is similar to Bangladesh, Uganda, Mali, Norway, Benin, and Papua New Guinea. Then, for the last 10 years average, Qatar had average public debt of 24.6% from 2003-2013. And not to forget also, Qatar during the Great Recession, Qatar public debt had a negative growth of 48.5% during the Great Recession. Therefore, it shows that Qatar has lower percentage of public debt compared to Yemen.
Next, we will explore more about the budget in two countries which are Yemen and Qatar. In financial terms, a deficit occurs when expense exceeds revenues, while a surplus occurs when expenses are less than revenues. Yemen recorded a government budget deficit equal to 4.4% of the country's GDP in 2018. This is because of the poverty crisis that related to the violence and chronic hunger in Yemen. It has killed 10,000 people and increased poverty in Yemen. The effect on this country is that poverty in Yemen holds one of the highest rates in the Arab world. While in Qatar, it recorded a government budget surplus equal to 2.2% of the country's GDP in 2018. This is because Qatar had a persistent trade surplus while maintaining an overall balance of payments deficit. The effect on this country is the budget situation has improved to a record surplus amounting to 2.2% of GDP.
To begin with, most of Yemen's government expenditure went to its fuel subsidy since it's one of its key economic activities. In 2008, 3.8 billion USD was allocated for the subsidy. However, the amount dropped to only 100 million USD in 2015. This is due to the Yemeni civil war in 2014 and the fall in world oil prices. Apart from fuel subsidy, wages and salaries are one of Yemen's main expenditure components. The public sector jobs are important in Yemen since it employs 31% of the workforce. However, thousands of Yemeni state workers are unpaid because of the political crisis starting in 2015. The anti-government military monopolized the liquidity of central bank branches to limit government's ability in paying wages. As a result, public services are on the verge of collapse in key social sectors, including education. By the summer of 2016, it is estimated that they did not receive the salaries nearly for 8 months. Just like Yemen, one of its key components of government spending is wages. In 2016, the expenditure on wages was increased to 26% due to higher cost of living. Contrary to that, the government cuts 30% of foreign employees' wages that are working for the government in 2020 due to the pandemic. Although local employees' wages are not affected, their benefits like holiday allowances were suspended. These policies only apply to entities that are fully owned by the government and thus did not affect private sectors. Another major component of their spending is capital expenditure. Qatar spent around 8.5 billion on the FIFA World Cup facilities in 2017. By participating in the FIFA World Cup, the country predicted it would create more than 1.5 million new jobs in key sectors like construction, real estate, and hospitality. This will result in higher GDP and economic growth. Other than that, Qatar also prioritized the health and education sector as it allocated 850 million riyal to establish health centers and build 18 new schools.
In conclusion, civil war in Yemen has given negative effect as it caused a drop in government expenditure in fuel subsidy in 2015. Besides, Yemen also created a budget deficit and higher rates in poverty due to civil war. Revenue from oil also decreased in 2015 and national debt rose and reached alarming level. To sum up all the trends in fiscal policy in Qatar, there was an increase in government expenditure due to higher cost living and spending on FIFA World Cup facilities in 2017. Even though there was an increase in domestic public debt in Qatar, an improvement was made in 2018 in terms of percentage of GDP. Government revenue increased and have income tax from oil and gas. For the budget, Qatar has created a budget surplus in 2018.